Hey there, listeners. Welcome to Hines on Air, your weekly dose of inspiration, motivation, and real-life entrepreneurial stories. I'm Matt Hines, your host, and I'm excited to have you join me on this journey. From building a successful law firm to venturing into other industries like real estate and social media, I've experienced both the triumphs and the challenges that come with entrepreneurship. I've learned firsthand the importance of resilience, adaptability, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. On Hines on Air, we're diving deep into the world of business, law, and personal growth. Join me as I chat with incredible guests who have faced adversity, defied expectations, and achieved extraordinary success. We'll discuss their strategies, their mindset, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply someone looking for a little inspiration, Hines on Air is for you. Remember to subscribe, like, and leave a review whenever you listen to podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people and continue sharing these incredible stories. Let's get started.
We want to thank our sponsor, Bravos Leadership. Bravos Leadership is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and other business-minded people grow their companies and achieve their goals in life. They're having a major event on June 21st that's going to have some of the best business minds on the planet, including Grant Cardone. So get your tickets today. Hey, everybody, it is Matt Hines, back with another Hines on Air and back with another fantastic episode. It's always good to mingle with someone who is an expert, who's done a lot in the field, who has advised others. You know, they've seen it all, and now they can share their wisdom with us to help us kind of grow and achieve some of the things that they've achieved. So this next gentleman has, check this out. This is just freaking remarkable. All right, LinkedIn has labeled him as one of the world's most influential thought leaders. LinkedIn, one of the world's most influential thought leaders. That's amazing. That's quite a title. He's also the author of the Bezos Letters, 14 Principles to Grow Your Business Like Amazon. So we are very proud to present Mr. Steve Anderson. Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Hey, Steve, how you doing, sir?
Well, I'm doing great.
Good, man. Well, listen, we appreciate you being here. I'm anxious to get in and figure out all the secrets you discovered.
Well, I probably have a few.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, I tell you what, I think the best place to start, tell us about your book, man. What is it about, and what does it educate us on?
So I have spent my career in the insurance industry, helping insurance agents with technology for 35 plus years now. And one of the things that I realized at some point along the way is that technology changes so fast, right? We know that. Changing even faster now. And the biggest risk insurance agents face, and I think businesses face, is not taking enough risk. And so really counterintuitive, right? Because insurance is all about reducing risk, mitigating risk, getting rid of risk, transferring it to an insurance policy. But with technology, you can't afford less now than even before. You can't afford to wait to see what happens. And we see that right now with generative AI. We saw it in the late 90s with the internet. We saw it in the 2000s with social media. I mean, just all of these different things. And the ones that have continued to be successful have embraced and figured it out. And so that really led me to start researching companies that once were very successful and are literally gone. Mm-hmm. Bankrupt, no longer here. And we have lots of names we could mention.
Yeah.
And companies that were successful, have been successful, and continue to be successful. And so I was intrigued with the difference. Came across Amazon. I sort of now think, well, of course I did, right? But at the time, this was a few years ago, at the time, Amazon was still growing. They were still going. And I started reading the letters to shareholders that Jeff Bezos wrote. First one was 1997, with the year, it was published the year after they went public. And then he wrote every year a letter to shareholders up until 2000 when he stepped aside as CEO. And I ended up literally reading all the letters as a narrative in a row. And I realized there were threads that went through the letters because he talked about not just what Amazon did, but how he built Amazon to do what it's done and become what it has become. That's what intrigued me. Mm-hmm. And so my first what I call iteration of the book was literally a PDF lead gen, right? I was really intrigued, so I did a one-page executive summary of each of the letters, couple key quotes, couple ideas, couple things I thought would be helpful for businesses to think about. Fortunately, my wife is in the book publishing business, and I showed it to
nice.
her, and she went, "Yeah, this is not a lead gen, this is a book." And I kind of went, "Oh shit." And I've written my entire career. That's kind of what I did, talking about technology. But writing a 1,000-word article and writing a 65,000-word book are two entirely different things.
Yeah.
So, but the book, was published. Here's the
Here we are.
cover.
Wow.
It's had some great success. Wall Street Journal, USA Today, bestseller, translated into 21 languages. So obviously there
Jeez.
was something there. And I will say, strategically, it didn't hurt that Amazon and what people think is Bezos is on the cover. So that's the background to it.
What'd you find in his article or in his letters to shareholders? You said you found a common theme.
I found multiple themes. That's what ended up being the principles.
Okay.
So, and 14's a lot. So, and no question about that. And we broke it down into what I call 4 cycles: test, build, accelerate, and scale, which is what a business does throughout its life cycle, right? It's always testing a new idea. Certainly startups are, but even more mature businesses better be testing new ideas. That's, the innovator's dilemma, if I might take off of Clay Christensen's book. You can't just innovate. You have to invent. And to invent, you have to test. And you have to experiment. And so that's a whole thing. So the principles fit into those 4 cycles. So test, build, success, going on, accelerate your growth, and then scale. How do you actually scale? And to me, the fascinating question is, how did Amazon scale and keep its culture with over almost 1.3 million worldwide employees? I mean, that to me is astounding. So principles in each of those areas that he talked about and resonated certainly with me.
How would that be applied? Can you think of something that he was testing and scaling, like in it, those 4 principles being applied? You remember any specific examples?
So the first principle in the test cycle is called encourage successful failure. And it really speaks to exactly what your question is.
Okay.
Bezos believed very strongly that in order to invent on behalf of the customer, you need to experiment. And by its very nature, an experiment means you're going to fail. Because if you're not failing in an experiment, it's not an experiment, right? It's a sure thing.
Mm-hmm.
But to find out what's next, you need to experiment and fail. So let me give you what I consider one of the best examples. In 2014, Jeff Bezos in New York City got up on stage and announced the brand new revolutionary Fire phone. Did you even remember that Amazon had a phone and built a phone?
I did not.
Most people didn't, because it was an utter failure.
Okay.
By that time, everybody either had picked iPhone or Android, right? Why did we need another phone? Well, Jeff thought this is a great idea, and he pushed it. It died. At one point, they tried to sell it for $1, and they couldn't, because nobody wanted it. They already had picked. Failure. Wrote off at the end of 2014, $180 million in inventory and development costs.
Wow.
Where's the success? 4 months after the announcement of the phone, the team that had put the phone together, that had worked on the phone, showed Bezos a prototype for a cylinder that would sit on a counter or on a table that you could actually talk to, and it would respond to you. The hardware called the Echo, the software called Alexa, and everything they learned about voice processing in the phone, they were able to take and repurpose into the Echo device. And you could say it's been fairly successful in terms of number of units and those kinds of things. So that's the idea of, yes, you're going to fail, but at Amazon, and he says this several times in his letters, Amazon is the best place in the world for an employee to fail because Amazon doesn't punish failure. They understand it's a part of developing something new on behalf of the customer. Now, let me also emphasize, just so people don't get the wrong idea, Amazon has an intolerance for incompetence. So this is not whatever, who cares, like throw it against the wall, see if it sticks. No, this is intentional, this is strategic, this is planned. You try not to fail. And no matter how hard you try, it's, I won't say inevitable, because sometimes you don't, but it's a part of the process. And often the failures will get you to where you need to go faster than the successes will.
How do you separate a good faith effort from, no, you were incompetent? Like,
well, I would say failing too often starts questioning
too often. Yeah. Okay.
Right. And not learning from failure starts questioning competence. And so I don't think it's, and again, I say this in the book, I don't think employees are afraid of failure. They're afraid of the consequences of failure, right? It's going to hurt my career. I'm going to get fired. I'm going to, because a lot of companies build a culture of fear. And you don't get creative new ideas when you're afraid. And I think that's the difference. I mean, again, AWS is another a whole different business. And I think that's what Amazon has been amazing at. AWS, before it was AWS, was solving a business problem Amazon had, which is all these different developers creating the same thing when they could share resources, databases, and web pages, and all that infrastructure. They didn't need to build that. They could have one team build it, and then all the other teams tap into it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Before, who was AWS again?
Amazon Web Services, cloud computing.
Okay, got it.
And again, I'm almost quoting Bezos. AWS for Amazon was a business miracle. The reason he said that was Amazon had a 7-year head start before Google and Microsoft got into the game. And that lead has continued because they kept developing new, they kept inventing, they kept adding services, they kept doing all of those things, all in the service of developers who, prior to AWS, would have to spend $5 million on just compute power, right? Computers and racks and all that kind of stuff. With AWS, they could rent and only use what they needed and then scale immediately as they grew.
We want to thank our sponsor, Bravos Leadership. Bravos Leadership is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and other business-minded people grow their companies and achieve their goals in life. They're having a major event on June 21st that's going to have some of the best business minds on the planet, including Grant Cardone. So get your tickets today. Is this what runs their main website that you order on? This is a separate service.
Well, it's both.
It
is what runs their main site. And at some point, Andy Jassy, who's now the CEO, was CEO of AWS, said, hey, if this works for us, it's got to work for other developers who don't want to have to build all this infrastructure. They can rent it from us. And so that's been really a key theme of Amazon throughout its development. Today, that same idea is logistics as a service, meaning third parties can use Amazon's warehouses and delivery and all of that, pay a fee, but they don't have to build it themselves.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I know there was a business seminar I just attended, and Bezos came up, And Bezos was asked, this is a video of Bezos. He wasn't there at the seminar, but they said, what do you think is contributed most to your success? And the general answer was, we concentrate on the customer experience, or on the customer having just a great experience. Something to that effect. I think it was those words. And then a guy stood up and gave an example. This was fascinating. So this is kind of a customer experience, but it was just impressive of Amazon. So Amazon had created this distribution center, and every morning 300 trucks would leave the distribution center, and it got real loud, just real loud. We're like, so anyway, a neighbor who was living in that area called up Amazon to complain. He wasn't really buying much. He wasn't connected with the company. He just called, was like, look, when your trucks leave, it is the loudest thing. It wakes up, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's just annoying. Amazon took his call and said, hold on just a minute, sir. And they put him in touch with another exec or whatever that handles this. Listened to all this. Everybody said, sir, give us a few days. We'll be back in touch with you. Took it. Whatever they changed, they stopped the entire 300 trucks from interrupting him in the morning, and called him back later and said, sir, we just want to make sure, did we handle your concern with the noise? He said, you did great. Thank you so much. And that was it. But the fact that the $1 billion company, they could have easily said, take a hike. Right. Easily. And they wouldn't have lost. I mean, it wouldn't have been a blip on their radar. But they took it serious and changed their whole system just because of that. That's impressive.
That is very impressive.
Yeah.
And again, it is a reflection of the culture at Amazon and the culture that Bezos started from the very beginning. So in his very first letter in 1997, there were really three main sections of it. One of those sections is obsess over customers. Mm-hmm. We will obsess over customers. Now, every business knows they need to take care of customers. You know, we talk about customer journey and customer service and customer focus, but obsess, I've just been fascinated by him using that word.
Right.
Because that's a different level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you just said is that mindset of we obsess over customers. And you see that literally every day you go to the website, because they are maniacally focused on taking friction out of the process of you buying something. So that website, billions of dollars spent over the years, making it fast, easy, simple, to the point that in the early 2000s, they created what is called, and at the time was called, one-click shopping. So that was unheard of at the time. One click, they stored your credit card information, they stored your delivery information, and today that's normal, right? We don't think about it, but back then, it was so unique in the online shopping world that they were granted a patent on one-click shopping, which they defended. So Barnes & Noble tried to copy it. They sued and won.
Amazon won?
Amazon won.
Wow.
Apple licensed the technology to use on their website.
Mm.
So, I mean, all of these little things, and that real, and a maniacal is probably not too strong a word, focus on the customer always comes through with Amazon.
Wow. That's impressive. Let me ask you this. In the creation of Amazon, to get every different product on his site, you know, to sell towels or to sell pencils or to sell this or to sell this, like all that stuff, did he have to negotiate individually with each company? Like, how did that come about to where he was able to offer all the different products for all these other companies?
So a couple thoughts come to mind. First is, in the early, and I think people remember, Amazon started by selling books.
Right.
When Bezos was conceptualizing Amazon, what became known as Amazon, he had a list of 20 items that he thought would be easiest to sell online. Books was the top of the list because one book my book, this copy of this book, is exactly the same as a copy of the book somebody else has. There's no difference.
Right.
Now there's audio and ebook and, physical, but that's a book is a book. So there's no differentiation. And so what Amazon brought to the game that Barnes & Noble, Borders, right, all the big box bookstores didn't have was unlimited shelf space. Amazon could stock every single book ever published. The other box stores, maybe 150, 175,000, lot, but still not every book.
Right.
And again, the early days, people would order, they would get the order, they'd go pick up to a book distribution center, get the books, bring it back, packages, and mail it out. It took a week to 2 weeks, not the 4 hours to 2 days that happens today. But that's that relentless focus on the customer. And there are 3 customer pillars Amazon still focuses on: wide selection, low prices, and fast delivery. And those haven't changed. And
No.
Bezos says in one letter, I can't remember which year, he says, I can't imagine a day that customers will want less selection, higher prices, and slower delivery.
Right.
So that customer focus is on those 3 things that they are relentless about.
Yeah. And they do it.
And they do it.
They do it. I mean, he
Yes,
backs
they
it
do.
up. It's, I don't know how they do it, but they do it. I think the last thing I ordered was there within like 17 hours.
Yeah.
Like, that to me seems physically impossible. How the hell would you coordinate that and coordinate with FedEx or whoever the hell you use and get it there in that short of time stream? But there it was.
Well, so I've had the opportunity, partly research for the book, partly just I'm interested, to visit 3 different fulfillment centers. And so some fulfillment centers specialize. So there's one just north of Louisville, Kentucky in southern Indiana that's called a soft goods fulfillment center. So that's your clothes, those kinds of goods. Towels, you said earlier, that kind of soft goods. I visited one in Chattanooga, Tennessee, just a couple hours south of us. And that was more of a normal fulfillment center. The last one I visited was 2 months ago, here outside Nashville, one of their latest generation fulfillment centers that was the most automated fulfillment center they have. And so I can't even hardly describe it. I couldn't take pictures. I was trying to, but no, I didn't.
Nah.
But they have these little robots bringing stuff to people who pick them off the shelves, and they have gotten that process down so well that literally, I ordered, and again, I'm in a Nashville area, so larger, but I literally ordered something and they said, do you want it tomorrow morning between 4 and 8 a.m.? I said, sure. And it was waiting at my, front door. It's just amazing. I agree.
It is amazing. And I think unless you're a business person and you're into that, you probably don't appreciate how much that takes. Like, it's easy to say, we're going to have fast delivery. Like, great, have fast delivery. But to be able to pull it off consistently over the over that physical territory that quickly, no matter where, it's amazing. It is amazing.
Yep.
They deserve the success. Well, nice. Tell us a little bit. I'm running out of time. That's just a fascinating topic. Kind of talk forever just on Bezos. I know there's so much there. Give me a little bit about the LinkedIn recognition. World's most influential thought leader. That's pretty impressive.
Well, yes, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's now called the Top Voice program. So you get a little flag on it that says on your profile that you're a top voice. And I will say what happened in 2013. I got a random email from somebody at an editor at LinkedIn saying, we're starting this new program at LinkedIn. It's called Influencers, and we're handpicking different people that we think, have influence over certain, industry types and that kind of stuff. I'd like to talk to you about it. Would you be interested? Well, I deleted it thinking it was spam. And then I kept thinking about it, and then I pulled it back out of, the trash and did some research. And the guy was, an editor at LinkedIn. So I had a call with him, and he said, yeah, we'd love you to be a part. And I asked, I said, how did you find me? I'm this little insurance industry guy. He said, I don't know, but your name came up and we'd love to have you be part of it. So that's where that came from. And then as that position on LinkedIn, they do extra steps to promote my profile.
Nice.
To people. I'm in the financial services kind of industry segment there on LinkedIn.
I got you. Hey, going back actually to what you started with, that the insurance industry needs to stay ahead of the game. You mean AI here? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you an AI fan?
I am.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's a fascinating
I'm an AI
area.
fan, and I call myself an AI student.
Yeah.
In fact, literally, I just got off a webinar. I'm doing a series of 6 webinars over 6 weeks for this insurance agent audience about AI, how they can use it, kind of helping them. They typically are very slow adopting something new. And so I'm just trying my part to help them understand the power, how to make it work for them.
That's good.
The best way to say it.
We're implementing a whole new training thing for AI too. I'd like our entire office proficient in it, because it's like, I remember working with a gentleman, and this was like 10, 15 years ago, but email had been around for a long time. And I sat down with him, and we started writing an email together, and I was like, now you want to attach that and send it? And he's like, attach that. This is after 25 or so years of emails. He didn't know how to attach stuff. And I can imagine somebody just kind of, in this right now, it's you that better get on the AI bandwagon, or you are going to be left behind fast. So, I don't know. He had resisted for a while. He seemed to maintain, but anyway, yeah, I'm of the opinion, kind of as you, is like, we don't have a choice. Like, you either learn AI or you just retire and wither away.
Yeah. Kind of my philosophy is, AI is not going to replace you, but the more you embrace it now, the bigger advantage you will have, and the bigger moat you will build for those who aren't or are waiting. And it's going to change. It has, literally since I started a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, I guess. It's changed significantly, gotten better. And, again, you have to be careful and know how to use it and all those kinds of things. But it is a pretty amazing tool.
It is amazing. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your insight and your information. All right. And congratulations on your book.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. And tell us again. All right. So the name of the book, everybody, is The Bezos Letters, 14 Principles to Grow Your Business Like Amazon. And this is available on Amazon and everywhere, right?
Yep. Yes, it is. And audio, electronic, and physical.
Did you do the audio?
I did.
Nice. Good for you. Okay.
I did.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, listen, Steve, again, enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Matt, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And everybody, I hope you enjoyed. Great information, great insights. We can learn a lot from Steve, and also just watching people like Bezos, Amazon, what they find important, how we can use that in our business. Just fascinating information. So anyway, thank you for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, follow us on YouTube, share this, and like it. All right. We need your help. This will make this information available to more people. And we thank you for joining us for another Hines on Air. This program is being sponsored by Law Offices of Matthew C. Hines. The Law Offices of Matthew C. Hines helped all individuals who have been involved in a car accident, who have been injured at work, or have been arrested or given tickets. We make sure your rights are protected and that you receive all the benefits allowed under the law. Visit us at www.hineslaw.org, hineslaw.org.
Hines on Air is for you. Remember to subscribe, like, and leave a review whenever you listen to podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people and continue sharing these incredible stories.